If you ever find someone new, now it better be good to you. Just call my name, I'll be there, I'll be there. Hey, what, Guardo, man? It's been a while, huh? I know we had a football draft and all that fun stuff happened and stuff, but there's some fights happen, man. Let's get to them, you know? A little afterfight, afterthought for the Robert Helelnius.
Helelnius!
And Siarhei Liakhovich. And this is the afterfight, afterthought for that fight. And what I'll do is I'll go over the before, the during, and the after fight for both fighters, and throw in little my own stuff, sprinkle it with the little spice of ragu in there. You know what I'm saying? So we'll start out. I'll start out with the winner of the fight, which is the after fight, which is Robert
Helelnius!
and then I'll go over to Siarhei Liakhovich, and we'll get that squared away. You like that, Eduardo? It's kind of loud, isn't it? I know. I want it to echo in their house, so the wives are like, "What are you listening to?" And they'll be like, "This crazy guy, Ragu." Anyway, going into this fight, people are asking, is he ready? Is he ready to step up against a guy that is a former world champion? And on the flip side of that, you're like, well, yeah, he's already beat two former world champions in Brewster and Peters. The problem is Brewster and Peters both have question marks. And Liakhovich is also coming in with question marks too. So, I mean, if he beats him, is he really going to get a whole lot of credit for this, going into it? I mean, we know he has the size at 6'6.5". We know he has the, he came in at 243 pounds, which I thought was an excellent weight for him. He looked to be in better shape than he has at the weigh-in, than he has in former fights. He has big-time pressure on him, though, and he must win this fight. He cannot afford to take it off. If he loses, he's already going to fall behind guys that are coming up in Fury and Price, and he falls into that rank where he's going to be stuck with like Chisora and all those up-and-coming guys that unfortunately lost early in their career, and they're going to have to build their way back up, take a longer road. There's like a gaggle of them, goggle. He's going to have to meander his way up through. That's a weird term. Anyway, and then you go over to Siarhei Liakhovich, and when you look at him, he's 35. He's inactive for the last 3.5 years. He's only really had 2 fights. This is his 3rd fight in 3.5 years. Technically, he's still in his prime for a heavyweight, but when you have former in your intro, you have to worry about that. I wonder if he's closer to the end, much closer to the end than the beginning. Like I said, former carries a lot of weight. That means you lost it, So, but in his defense, he's got nothing to lose now. I mean, his losses have come against some good fighters. And is he going to become one of those stepping stone guys, or is he actually going to be able to go? Because he wins this, he's going to get a shot at the Klitschko's again. Because he already had one. He got beat up, but Klitschko's aren't above beating you up twice. Just saying, just saying. So looking at when they start fighting, obviously Helelnius looks very serious in this fight. They're trading, they're pumping jabs out, working the body and stuff. Nice feel-out round, good body work done by Helelnius in this round. If there was body work that you could actually say was good, he landed a couple body shots that were nice. That's all I'm saying. And the round could have went either way. I thought Helelnius landed the cleaner shot, so I gave him the first round. In the second round there, Liakhovich, kept the pressure on, kept the jabs, and overall I thought he took that round. Again, not a lot of footwork, not a lot of movement by Helelnius at all, and you had Liakhovich putting in the work, so I gave him the second round. Third round was more of a Helelnius' thing, establishing the jab, more power jabs landing, sneaking in the uppercut now, occasionally throwing to the body. You could see, he has the better ability, but Liakhovich is willing to want to go to war a little bit. But I gave that round to Helelnius. And the third round, or the fourth round, I also, strong jabs landing by Liakhovich. Again, body by Helelnius and hooks. Jabs by Liakhovich, hooks by Liakhovich. Helelnius was countering a lot of the punches too, though, and he was firing those in there even when they were trading, and he started working in that uppercut. And I gave the fourth round to Helelnius as well. The fifth and sixth round pretty much went similar to this. What I'm saying, they were both almost mirror rounds, with Liakhovich outworking, outmoving, and stuff like that, but Helelnius landing the more powerful shots. I thought Liakhovich won both the 5th and 6th round, but at the same time, you could see the cumulative effect happening. You could see the blood coming out of the nose of Liakhovich. You could see the swelling, and I said that in my prediction for this fight. I said Liakhovich cuts, he bruises, he swells, he bleeds, all that stuff very easily. And you could tell, I mean, once that nose gets broke or damage is done to it and it starts to bleed, you start swallowing that blood, it has a bad effect on you, and it's going to take a little bit of your stamina, it's going to take a little bit out of you. It's just hard to deal with your own blood. I don't know many people that like to see their own blood, and if they do, they might be a little touched in the head. Just saying, and I hope they don't find me. And in the 7th round there, you could almost see like the gas being drained out of the tank on Liakhovich. The punches were starting to add up. He was slow at trading. It was a rough round for Liakhovich. And I gave that the 7th round to Helelnius. The 8th round, very, very similar. They were slow in trading. Hooks landing by slow. They're training. Helelnius landing his jabs. The cumulative effect you can just see happening, and it's gathering momentum. The second Liakhovich looks a little hurt, Helelnius absolutely opens up and starts landing bombs. But even though a lot of those were blocked, they still were kind of blasting his arms apart. They weren't landing flush, but it was the pressure that was getting to Liakhovich, and Liakhovich went down. And Helelnius obviously won the 8th round, and that was a 10-8 round. Going into the 9th round, Liakhovich came out, looked to be, he was the aggressor. He was still applying, trying to work the body, throwing the hooks up top. But then this monstrous uppercut came, and Helelnius finished him. And when you see that, Helelnius, the second he smells blood in the water, it's kind of like Vitaly Klitschko. The second he smells it, he absolutely goes for it and blows people out of the water. The problem is if he fights these upper tier fighters, and now we're going to the after fight, after the fight, is he's going to find himself down a lot of rounds, and he's going to have to make them up. And some fighters can just take a hell of a shot, and they're not going to go away, and they're not going to fade. And when you see that, you have to worry about that. He needs to get more movement. He needs to be on his toes much more than he is now. He needs to be more active than he is now, because it seemed like he was more counterpunching than actually forcing the issue. And when you're the bigger guy, you should be imposing your will on someone instead of laying back and letting stuff happen. Ask Valuev how that's done for him in his career. You know what I'm saying? Like his last couple fights haven't exactly went his way. So, the power is there, his skill is there, but we really need to see more active. He needs to be more active. He's gonna step up, but he's not ready for the Klitschkos yet. When you see this, I would say avoid the Klitschkos at all costs. But if the money's there, take your millions while you're sleeping. You can count them off: 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, and go from there. When you wake up. I see Povetkin. That would be a nice matchup. David Price, another up-and-coming heavyweight, would be a great one. Evander Holyfield was sitting in the audience. He was like, hey, why not add a 4th champion to your, your list? While you're collecting up all the former champions, might as well, let's reach deep into the 90s or the, let's go back to 91, man, and pull that out. It's freaking 20 years ago. Was it 20 years ago? Vander's still fighting? That's crazy, man. And when you look at Liakhovich, I mean, it was a good showing for him. It wasn't great, but it was a good showing. He took a good beating, and he looked very game in there. And on some cards, people could have actually seen him winning the fight. And, because there were a lot of close rounds that could have went either way. He's not the top dog anymore. Their former is there for a reason. He's a good stepping stone fighter, so he might get the Fury, the Price, those kind of guys that'll be willing to fight him. Maybe Povetkin would probably definitely fight him. Just saying. He'd definitely fight him again. Because Povetkin, I don't think is ready for Klitschko's either. Maybe even Chisora or Shagayev, to get those guys in there. So, I mean, Liakhovich, if he wants the fights, they're going to be there for him. He's game, and he's got the name. He's game, and he's got the name. That might be a new vid. No, circle. Anyway, so looking at this, Helelnius, 16-0. He's now had 10 knockouts in his last 11 fights. You cannot discount his power. You have to respect it. and you got to beat him before you can say anything about him. And he'll probably be getting a legitimate title shot at his next fight out. So, then he'll fade off till the Klitschko's retire. Okay? I hate to talk bad about him because he did great and it was a good win for him. But from what I saw, the way he was in there, the way he was moving, it's just going to be a long road for him. All right, yeah, I think we're done. We done, Eduardo? Yeah, we're good. All right. Well, hey, this is Bigragu. I'm out.